Hello and welcome.
Thanks.
It's alright, I'm just starting off with a bang.
Okay.
Bang!
I think we should be starting off with a boom. For Boomtown.
He got me.
Boomtown is the episode we're going to be watching. Yeah, so any idea what that means?
No.
No?
Well, it's a residency area.
Is it?
Town.
Oh. So just in general town.
Yeah, we'll be hitting the...
Is it going to be at Bar 101?
The bars.
The bars? No, it's not going to be at the bars.
No.
That's for another time.
Oh.
Yeah. So last time we watched was the Doctor Dances, and the last thing we saw was dancing with Jack and Rose and the Doctor.
It was very, very Disney.
Yes. I can dance.
Yeah, I felt like
I can dance.
I was watching a fucking
Jack's like,
Pixar Disney movie.
Yeah.
Maybe
That's why it's so popular.
Maybe.
It's a happy ending. Anyway, so
It warmed my bitter cold heart.
yeah. I have noticed that a lot of you are all for us watching the spin-offs, so that's awesome. Yeah, so we probably will end up watching them.
I think we will.
It's just going to be too interesting not to do it.
Yeah. It's just the way we do it. Like, I think the main thing we should ask you guys is, well, my audio is quite quiet. Sorry about this. But the main thing, I'll speak close to the mic. The main thing we should ask you guys is, how would you want it? Would you want one spin-off episode and one normal episode a week? Or
well, I mean, that's how I was planning. I've got sort of this, this map of like episodes in a list.
Yeah.
The idea is that we'd still do one Doctor Who a week upload.
Yeah.
But that just means you just get more content, which is why wouldn't you want that?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's only if we can handle it. That's all. If we can handle doing that much workload, then we'll do it.
Quite a lot of work.
It is quite a lot. Yeah, especially when we get to the point, like, because there'll be like points where we're doing 3 in a week.
Yeah.
If we got both spin-offs going at once, which isn't always the case, but sometimes it is.
Yeah. I mean, we'll figure it out.
We will figure it out. I've got a list of them all. I've got all the chronological canon as well, like interlocking storylines and stuff. So that's cool. But yeah, I just hopefully we can do it and succeed with it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so tonight we're going to be watching Boomtown.
Ooh.
So let's just do that.
Yeah. So this is almost a part 3. Just hurry up. She survived. Does this normally happen when there's a follow-up episode to a 2-parter in the season?
What do you mean?
Like, is this a common recurrence?
Yeah.
Like, it's follow-up episodes.
Yeah. Yeah. I really like that opening scene. It's got good tension.
Yeah.
Boomtown.
Russell T Davies. We're back on the Davy train.
Russell's been working his ass off this season.
Yeah.
Good old Mick. Ford. We're in Cardiff.
Ford.
We're in Cardiff.
Ford.
We're in Wales.
God, the things she does with her tongue, sometimes it's just like a bit like, ah!
It's very sexual, isn't it?
Yeah. She feels like she's got too much in her mouth.
Yeah, she does. It's her teeth, though.
Yeah.
I'm quite dead.
They're like Team Rocket from Pokemon.
Poor Mickey. You haven't got that bit of information yet, have you? About how it got stuck?
No, that was some rose, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Nuclear power plant.
Or a rift plant. Uh-oh.
Kathy's got, you know, she's onto it.
Yeah.
All those people have died by accident. You look so concerned.
What? Since when does the Slytherin care?
The Slytherin.
Sorry. I don't know why I said Slytherin. I was thinking of Harry Potter. Why? Why?
A lot can happen in 6 months.
It's all slimy and shit.
She's been alone for 6 months. All of her family are dead.
Yeah.
From the events of World War III.
Oh, that's too much energy for me. If I was having dinner there, I'm like, oh my god.
Just nicked it off an old man.
I'll be having this, thank you. Oh.
So she's risen up to Mayor of Cardiff.
Yeah. Because of the rift?
Hmm?
Because of the rift?
What do you mean because of the rift?
She's in Cardiff because of the rift, right?
Sure. Oh, alright, I see what you mean. I thought you meant like she became the mayor because of the rift.
No. No.
The rift voted her.
No, the reason she's in Cardiff is because of the rift.
Well, she's building that nuclear power station.
Yeah. To harness the power of the rift. Or to blow up the rift.
Something like that.
Enforced discipline.
Oh, Nokia's, yay! You can't say no to him.
Yeah. Zoom. Jesus.
Captain Jack.
Artist. Bit of comedy for you. What's going on here?
A rift in space and time. If this power station went into meltdown, the entire planet would go. This
It's like a Michael
Great
Rosen.
scientific.
It's like a Michael Rosen.
Yeah.
You'd hear them going down behind you. Kaboom! Kaboom!
Fantastic. Is that a travel physical waveform macrokinetic extrapolator? Couldn't put it better myself. Solar system. It's a surfboard. A pan-dimensional surfboard, yeah.
The surfboard. I knew it would come into play. Bad Wolf. God damn it.
bunch of cocktease. Merry Christmas.
Not my problem.
Ooh.
Shouldn't have fucked up a whole planet then.
My executioners. Each and every one.
You deserve it.
You tell him, Mickey. Ricky, Mickey.
You're very quick to see
Mickey.
the hands of my
Ooh, psychological warfare.
Mm.
Alright. Make the fucking seat sink more, will you?
Go to a hotel, spend a night. I mean, if you want to, I've got some money. Is that alright?
Mickey still got the charm.
Mickey's still got the dicky.
Alright.
Rose still a hoe.
ran for the stars, am I right? But not this time.
This feels very old series-esque. Because of the long dialogue shots
Mm.
and stuff.
Does it feel?
But it's very character driven.
Yeah.
She gets stabbed by 10,000 volts.
He's like straight out of Spy Kids in this episode.
Yeah.
What the, like, oh dear. Then we're in bondage.
Alright. Very child-friendly.
Jack looks very like with that blue shirt.
Yeah.
He just looks very sexual.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Just like, can you see it? It's like it's like he's building something like a house next door, and like
yeah.
the mum's looking at him. You know what I mean? He looks like that.
Two bedrooms, bayside view. I was rather content. I suppose I'll see it again.
Suppose not.
Poison dart within her own finger.
Yes, I did.
Just checking.
That's better. Now then, what do you think? Steak looks nice. Steak and chips.
Doctor's too prepared. So they're not called the Slovene.
Slovene's like their nickname for their family.
Right. Their family.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But their race is...
The Rexicoricophilibatorians are like a whole bunch of races around a big planet.
Oh, okay.
Slovene is a nickname for one family of that
Right,
planet.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to bother trying to say it.
Poor Mickey.
Yeah.
That's how you slaughter millions. Because once in a while, on a whim, if the wind's in the right direction, you happen to be kind.
Only a killer would know that. Many people's lives, he might as well be a god. And you're right, Doctor. You're absolutely right. Sometimes you let one go.
It's some mad psychological
Mm.
warfare.
Mm.
Oh, Jesus. Whoa.
He's getting fed up of it.
Yeah. What's going on? It's an earthquake or some shit.
So you predicted it was going to be the rift?
Huh?
You said it was going to be the rift?
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Do it, Flyboy.
Of course, opening the rift means you pull the ship apart.
Wonderful scrap.
What's that like?
The heart of the TARDIS. This ship's alive. You've opened its soul.
Just wait. Wait for the explanation.
Here she is.
She's an egg.
Regress to a child. She's an egg. She can start again. Live a life from scratch.
Ever want to start again? Look at the heart of a TARDIS.
The TARDIS is alive. It's not just a machine. It's actual being. They're not built, they're grown.
Interesting. Grown and caged.
Not necessarily cage. Well, yes. Not necessarily.
Put to work.
Yeah.
Doing their job.
Yeah.
Oh shit. This is when Mickey becomes a villain. This would be the scene though, right?
So, what did you think of Boomtown?
Honestly, I think I was expecting too much from the name.
You think so?
The name. I mean, I get what the name is now. Like Boomtown was the nuclear.
That was the plot
Yeah.
that Margaret was trying to do.
Turn it into a boomtown.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean,
I think it's some Welsh reference as well.
right.
Yeah.
I liked it. I didn't particularly love it.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good filler episode.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's a good filler episode. Yeah. I'm gonna go on into more later on.
Yeah.
About like the actual behind the scenes of it.
Yep.
But yeah, so we'll just talk about the characters first.
Cool.
So, what did you think of the Doctor in this episode?
I felt like I can't really talk about the Doctor without talking about all of them.
Okay. How about we'll break it down into the Doctor and Margaret the Slitheen?
Okay.
Yeah.
Both of them together, you could tell they were kind of not butting heads, but like the comparison of both of them and like the contrasting between them.
Yep.
And how she's pleading for her life by comparing him to her.
Well, what I like about it is there's sort of a moral grey area between them.
Yeah.
It's like what really makes him any more of a good guy than her.
Yeah.
You
and
know?
It's a very solid question, and it makes
and it
makes
puts a
lot of
nice
sense.
twist on the last Slitheen story.
Yeah.
Because the last Slitheen story was very like it was your play by numbers
Yeah.
story.
And it wasn't really based on the Slitheen either. This one was more orientated on Margaret.
Yeah, because Margaret had become a human almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, like trans Slitheen human.
Yeah.
I love that scene in the what's it called again? It's not a rest. Is it restaurant?
Bistro.
The restaurant? Yeah, bistro. Yeah, I love that scene in the bistro with the Doctor and Margaret.
Yeah.
Just like the comedy, I love the comedy too, but mainly just the more serious close up dialogue.
Yeah.
It's like some of the best character development you sort of get with the Doctor without an actual story going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like that's what I really like.
Yeah.
I like how they brought back that particular Slitheen.
How come that one?
Oh, just because like she was the one in World War III, like she was the one that made the threats.
Oh, right.
When they were going into the cabinet room.
Yeah. So she was the snarky one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was the one saying that they were going to blow up the planet and sell it.
Yeah.
So it's almost like bringing her back with a new perspective.
Yeah.
Gives a good contrast.
Yeah.
Yeah. And acting as well. I thought both of them excellent acting.
Yeah, it's great acting.
Yeah, I thought it was a nice little exhibition of just dialogue. You know what I mean? Yeah. The other storyline going on was Rose and Mickey.
Yeah, classic teenage
Trouble.
Teenage relationship dramas.
Yeah.
Pointless bullshit.
Yeah. I feel really bad for Mickey.
Yeah. I mean, for Rose, it was more, she was being a bit melodramatic, like, oh my god, you parred me off for fucking, what's Vicky?
Trish from the shop.
Trish from the shop. And then Mickey's like, yeah, well, you fucking been away for about 3.5 million days, so you can't fucking blame
If you remember, it was like she left for a whole year, and then she left again, then came back 6 months later.
But for her, it would have been a couple of days, or like a week or so.
Maybe a couple of weeks, yeah. Because they went on that, remember that she was saying they went on all those trips to, like,
Yeah.
that planet with the 100-foot waves or something.
Her, time isn't really a thing anymore.
Yeah, and because she's been on all these holidays, it's gone really quickly, too.
Yeah.
And, you know, in between all that, she's been, like, hanging out with Adam and Jack.
Yeah, Captain Jack.
Yeah. So, you know, it's almost like maybe she needs to reassess her. I mean, I guess at the end she sort of understood where she got wrong, where she was saying, he deserves better. Yeah. She was kind of admitting she probably should have maybe been more careful with him.
Yeah. She shouldn't have, it's not like, she should have just, like, straight up just ended it with Mickey.
Yeah,
before.
but I don't think she was thinking. She was just sort of dreaming.
She just was doing what she wanted to do.
Yeah.
It was like, fuck everyone else.
Yeah. Time and space, ADD.
Yeah.
And it cost Mickey a lot of time, just him, you know, being at home by himself, with her away. Yeah. It's kind of sad for him. And Captain Jack Harkness. He was just cool. I think.
Cool. He was like
he was the gadget man.
Yeah, he was the suave gadget man in the episode.
Remember how he like jumps over the thing and then Mickey trips over the
the contrast.
Yeah.
I thought he was cool.
Yeah. I like his like enthusiasm over the extrapolator.
Yeah. I reckon he's a good recurring actor character. Yeah. For sure. A nice companion.
And also he's kind of changed since the last story.
Yeah.
Because they have obviously been on those adventures, and he's changed from the Empty Child Doctor Dances. Yeah. Like, massively. Like, you can already see. Yeah. I mean, that was pretty much all the characters there were in that story. There was, like, the lady who was talking to Margaret when she was in the toilet.
Yeah, there wasn't many side characters. Except for Margaret.
Yeah. That lady just existed to show that Margaret wasn't going to kill her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To give that story
the sympathy sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's a good wrap of the characters. I just think it was a really good character-driven piece of dialogue episode.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't anything, like, ridiculously spectacular.
Yeah.
But it wasn't,
like, Dalek spectacular.
No. But it was definitely...
But it was nice.
A solid, well-written episode.
Yeah, as we've seen, Russell T Davies wrote it, and he knows these characters off the back of his hand.
Yeah.
So... yeah, he knows all their backstories and everything. Like, he's probably sat up at night and thought of all this.
Although, I did really like the end. But we'll get to that.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, the next thing we're talking about is the plot, so... okay. Yeah, go for that.
Yeah, I thought it was a bit slow at the start. Like, it was another one of those stories that was kind of just like... there was a lot of tension. A lot of tension build. Tension. And the release was kind of just like...
yeah.
It's like super quick.
Yeah, it was almost like
it was like The Unquiet Dead, but more.
It was like The Unquiet Dead, but it had more tension.
Polished.
Yeah, more polished.
The front bit was more polished.
Obviously, because there's a different writer. Yeah. I think, my opinion, Russell T Davies is a much better writer than Mark Gatiss.
Right.
Which would contribute to the reason why this episode felt like it had more tension.
Yeah.
Than The Unquiet Dead. Unquiet Dead was like more of an authentic, like historical with Charles Dickens and stuff. Yeah. Which is great in its own right, but I think Boomtown as a piece of script writing is much more polished.
I agree. Yeah, completely. And I did really like the end. I like the little TARDIS trivia thing.
Yeah, the heart of the TARDIS.
Yeah, and it was just really cool. Like the rift starting to open and fucking the TARDIS up, and TARDIS being like the point of energy.
This episode was full of like plot threads and stuff and lore. Yeah, and character,
cool lore. Yeah. I would say I really like the lore of this episode.
Yeah, that was cool. the fact that the Doctor doesn't even know the power of the TARDIS.
Yeah.
Because it would be too dangerous to explore.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. And I like how I like the ending where she becomes an egg and she gets to start again.
Yeah, that's a nice wholesome way to end.
It was a satisfying end instead of executing her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give her a second
liked
choice.
That. I liked that a lot. Cool. So that's pretty much all the anything else about the plot you want to say? I thought it was pretty fun, like at some points.
Yeah, it was lighthearted. For the most part, it was lighthearted.
Yeah.
There was some serious ish themes.
Oh, there was the
of execution.
There was the Bad Wolf reference. Blythe
Yeah.
Droog, and the characters actually acknowledged it this time. They actually properly.
And we got the biggest tease of our life, where he's just like, huh.
Nah, it's just twins.
Nah, it's nothing.
Yeah. And I don't know if there's anything else I want to say about it. I feel like what I liked about it was that it had some political messaging in it, but it wasn't heavy-handed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was just present.
Yeah.
Which I like. I like it when politics are used sparingly.
Yeah.
As opposed to in your face.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Cool. So now we're going to be watching YouTube clip.
Cool.
This episode I always remember for that scene in the bistro.
Yep.
And it's a scene with two characters sitting down and just talking, which is very different for Doctor Who. You don't get that a lot.
Yep.
So this is the scene we're going to be watching is one of those scenes. It's not from an episode like this, but it's one of those scenes that's just two characters sitting down and talking.
Right.
And yeah, it's the second Doctor talking to one of his new companions that he had got, like he picked up in the episode before.
Right.
And the episode before the one that's in this clip was a Dalek story where this character's father died.
Mm-hmm.
So he just chose him to sit down and talk to her about it.
Are you happy with us?
Yes, I am. Listen, I would be if my father went before those horrible Dalek creatures came to the house.
Daleks?
He's a very kind man. I shall never forget him. Never.
No, of course you won't. But, you know, the memory of him won't always be a sad one.
I think I can remember your family.
Oh, yes, I can when I want to. And that's the point, really. I have to really want to bring them back in front of my eyes. The rest of the time, they sleep in my mind, and I forget. And so will you. Our lives are different to anybody else's. That's the exciting thing. Nobody in the universe can do what we're doing.
Who's passed out on his fucking table? It's just some person passed out behind them.
Yeah. Forget about that. What do you think of that?
I mean, I have no context for the conversation really, but
But you picked up on the sort of the message.
yeah.
It's actually one of my favourite Second Doctor scenes, just the way he feels so wizardly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I read the title and it said The Tomb of the Cybermen.
Yeah.
And is the Cybermen, you know, in
Dalek
where
the case.
Yep.
Yep.
That's the Cyberman, right?
It's a Cyberman, yeah.
Right.
Yep. Yeah.
Cool.
That was a Cyberman episode, yeah. But yeah, the way that, like, it was such a filler scene in that story, yet I remember it so well. Well, we will remember it so well, the people that have seen it, because it's a really nice scene, really nice scene of dialogue. Yeah. And I feel like
he felt very wise.
Yeah, very wise.
Yeah.
Very wise. The contrast is that with the scene in Boomtown is that the Ninth Doctor, Christopher Eccleston, he'd been through the war, so his perspective was a lot more regret. Yeah. As opposed to back then, before the war, where he was just a traveller. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. But but still very, very deep. You know what I mean? Because he's lived for so many years. Yeah.
Lots of experience and wisdom behind his words.
Definitely. Right. So, Boomtown. This was a replacement story for one that was supposed to be written by Paul Abbott, but he pulled out due to scheduling. Abbott has written for Coronation Street, Cracker, and Shameless. So this Boomtown was completely written at the last minute by Russell T Davies.
Really?
Yeah.
And it contains so much lore.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Wasn't supposed to happen.
Was it a last minute script, or was it like a?
It was. The entire thing was filmed like 3 months before the series began.
Right.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was filmed in 2005.
Jeez.
That's crazy.
Whereas everything else was like made.
Pretty much everything else was filmed in 2004.
Yep.
This was filmed in like January of 2005.
Damn.
3 months before the series aired.
That's cool.
So it was literally done at the 11th hour. So that's pretty. I think that's pretty impressive.
The 11th hour.
Yep. I think it's pretty impressive that he managed to pull that together.
Yeah.
It has mixed reviews, as expected, not being a action-heavy episode.
Yeah.
It's said to be a formula breaker. Critics say it misfires on some levels and is underdeveloped, but the moral dilemma is praised, especially the dinner scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see what it means by it misfires on some points. Like, the tempo was a bit weird, a bit janky.
Yeah.
Like,
because there wasn't really that much of a threat, to be honest.
No, and, well, I mean, she was going to blow up the whole of Cardiff.
Yeah, but that's not her, like, pointing a gun at you.
Yeah.
That was just her plan.
Yeah. I think the thing that kind of made it a little bit janky for me was that whole scene of them catching her.
Yeah.
How that started to go like fast pace and stuff.
Yeah.
And then it
slowed down again. Yeah.
Really slowed down.
It's very unconventional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it worked. I still.
Yeah. If you're used to the 3-act structure, this episode's hard to watch.
No, it's kind of like the first act is also a peak at the end, and then the third act is like a slow burner.
It's a very bizarre episode, to be honest. Very bizarre. Yeah. Some saw Margaret being reduced to an egg as an easy conclusion. I don't. I thought it was really smart.
I thought it was smart as well. I thought it was a good, like I said before, it's a good wholesome.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's feel good.
Yeah, it was a feel good way to end it, and it was like, the moral of the story is that, was that like. Never mind.
Don't execute people.
Yeah, the moral of the story is give people another chance.
Yes, that's the way.
Yeah.
Some say this episode sacrifices plot for good exploration of characters and plot threads. Well, there wasn't really any plot at all. So what are you sacrificing?
Yeah.
You're not sacrificing anything. You're producing some really nice dialogue and lore for the show.
Yeah.
And it also has there's a lot of references to the plot threads, like the Rift and Bad Wolf and stuff.
Well, the thing that I took away from it is the reason I thought it was a filler episode was because we started off with the TARDIS being stuck in Cardiff and recharging. So it was kind of like one of those like episodes in a movie where they're stuck somewhere, so they go like look at the markets or something.
Yeah,
that's what it felt like to me.
Yeah. Later on we're gonna be having Adam's gonna do like a short recap. I was tempted not to, but I'm going to steal one of his lines from his review of this episode, is that it's the calm before the storm. That's how he describes it. That's why it's so effective, because it brings you down so that you can be like, you feel like you can tackle something bigger after. It's like in between Empty Child, The Doctor Dances, and whatever is after this. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's the calm before the storm, and that's why it's so effective, because it works doing that. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I like how you didn't slip the name of the next episode.
No, I didn't say anything.
I could see your brain process like, wait, can't say that.
So many blockers going on. Yeah. Like can't spoil.
It's like random tone just firing every now and again. Like
honestly, if you watch the Dalek video back, the amount of times me and Adam look at each other like we can't say anything.
Oh, right.
It's pretty funny, and the commenters have noticed it too. The dialogue's been praised. Some think this episode drags too much. Well, you did mention that, but I don't think it's too much though. Like, I don't think it's ridiculously a lot. Like, there is a lot of the classic series that drags. I mean, drags.
Yeah.
Like, and this is nowhere near as draggy as that.
Yeah. I feel like if you have only ever watched series 1 Doctor Who, then this is a draggy episode.
It feels draggy, yeah.
Yeah. Because you don't have anything to back it up on. Or
but
base it on.
I've watched The Smugglers, The Myth Makers, The Massacre, episode 6 of the Daleks, where they're literally walking through a cave and jumping over.
You've watched everything, mate. We get it.
I haven't watched everything, but I've watched a lot of fucking slow 1960s Doctor Who. Oh my god, some of it is just... It's great stories, but man, it's slow. It's so slow. There's one called The Sensorites, which is 7 parts, which is 7 times 25?
140.
It's like is that 2.5 hours?
175.
No, it's 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
3.5 hours?
Yeah.
3.5 hours, and it's about these aliens that they can't see, but they can smell.
Oh, great.
3.5 hours about that. Do you know what happens? Part 1's great, and then like it just goes downhill. And like you're just sitting there watching part 4.
It's like a Lord of the Rings.
You're watching part 4. You can't even fucking see what's going on. That's just the Doctor's coughing in some cave, and you're like, "What's this?" And he's like, "This way." It's like I just want to look at the wall for a second. That's what happens when you have serialized television. That's what happens when the BBC says, "Oh, we want you to make 42 episodes a year."
Jesus.
Right. Russell T Davies wrote Boomtown. According to Russell, Paul Abbott's original idea was that Rose was bred by the Doctor as an experiment to create the perfect companion.
No.
That's what was going to originally be in this spot.
Some fucking shit.
Yeah. I like Boomtown, how it turned out.
Yeah.
Russell decided to bring back Margaret as he thought her performance in the two-parter was excellent. And she is a very good actress.
Yeah.
Very good. I thought she matched Christopher Eccleston in this.
Yeah.
Acting-wise. Davies intends this as a character piece exploring whether the Doctor had the authority to take someone to their death sentence, also showing the consequences of the two-parter. Yep.
That's what it did.
It's what it did. In this episode, he wanted to show off Welsh culture and how beautiful the city is. I like that big tower with like the water coming down. Yeah. That's pretty cool. And like the one with all the words on it.
Yeah.
They're all in Welsh.
Yeah, the Welsh language is interesting. Yeah. It's like Elvish almost.
Yeah, almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty cool. Joe Ahern directed this. I was wrong. It wasn't End of the World. It was Dalek and Father's Day. He directed those 2 episodes. 2
of my favorite from this season.
Yeah, same. And I think that's why it had a lot of close-ups, because remember there was lots of close-ups in those 2 episodes as well.
Yeah. I feel like he's definitely the good go-to guy for character-driven.
Correct.
Character-driven stories.
Yes. And of course Murray Gold. Critics have praised Murray Gold's soundtrack in this episode.
Yeah, I didn't notice it. I mean, I think I did at some point. I didn't say anything, but I did at some point. Was like, oh, this is very good score for this scene. It's like it's not too overpowering.
The track we're going to be listening to is called Boomtown Suite, and it's basically like you could say it's like a highlight reel of what we heard.
Yep. This is when they land and they get out, gonna get some lunch together. Everything's going good.
Ooh, Ricky, Mickey. Oh, Jack, Captain Jack, I love your muscles. Oh, Ricky. Oh no, Ricky.
Oh, what's going on, Ricky? Doctor, you and me, we're both killers. And you know it, and I know it. We both know that we only spare a few to make the millions that we kill worth it. You know that you agree with me more. Stop making me teleport back, you bastard. Just gonna recap of the episode over this audio track. You can feel like in the music, you can feel the tension, and then that small release of a certain chord, which will be like them saying something, a piece of dialogue. Yeah, there's a lot of conflict in this song. Like introspective thinking. This is what it summons.
So what did you think of that song? Boomtown Sweet.
So was that all the music, or was it just snippets of?
It was just some of the main stuff.
Yeah.
3 minutes of it.
Yeah, like you could definitely feel the conflict and the swelling of, or like the tension build, and then the release on, which would be like a story point or something said in dialogue which would call for that release. Like what's an example? Like when they'll have that bistro talk, and like when it would be tense. Like she would be telling the doctor how they're not that different.
Yeah. I do like it. It's not one of my favorites, but I do like it. Like it. It's nice. Right. So, trivia time.
Mm-hmm.
There were references to Bad Wolf and The Rift in this episode. The Rift was obviously part of the main plot.
Yeah. Not just references.
Not just references, no. It actually opened up.
Yeah.
So this is the same rift from The Unquiet Dead.
Yeah.
Do you think that's cool, how they've, like, utilized it even years later?
Yeah.
Hundreds of years later?
Yeah.
I think it's pretty cool. Yeah, definitely. When they utilize the rift, it gives The Unquiet Dead some more importance, I think.
Yeah.
Like, sort of puts more pinpoint on...
Yeah, like how they said that it was closed 100 years ago.
Yeah.
But it can only stay closed for so long.
Yeah.
Or whatever they said.
I feel like The Unquiet Dead, it plants a seed.
Yeah.
And you see it open again in this one. That's what I like about it a lot.
It germinates.
Yeah. It's also kind of cool how
it
like
grows.
Unquiet Dead was like, it was like the third episode from the beginning of the series, and then this one was the third one from the end. You know what I mean? So it's like a nice spot to have it in.
Nice little bit of OCD there.
Yeah, nice bit of OCD. And of course, Blaid Drúg means bad wolf in Welsh.
Yeah. And
Margaret named the project Blaid Drúg for no reason. Just came to her.
Oh, it just sounded good.
The working title was the working titles were the working title was Dining with Monsters.
Right.
It's
a bit preschool.
Yeah, but then again, you said Boomtown put your expectations too high.
It did. It sounded like a really. It sounded like it would be a really fucking
explosive episode.
Come out with a fucking boom. But then nothing really happened. Well, some shit happened, but no booms.
Okay. Russell suggested. Russell suggested, "What should we do with Margaret?" as a title. That sounds like the title of like a book, like a funny book.
Where's Wally?
Yeah. The doctor explains how the chameleon circuit works.
Yeah, I'm for some reason I already knew that, and I'm not sure where, but I'm pretty sure in Rose, he says.
I think he goes over it. Yeah. But he goes more into it in this one.
Yeah, I remember because she asked him, "But why a police box?" And he was like, "The circuits are broken."
Yeah,
or something like that.
Yeah. But he actually fully explained it this time. It was the very first episode. They were in 1963, and it was disguised as a police box.
Yeah.
And then the chameleon circuit got broken, so when they travelled to the next destination they went to, the doctor looks at it, he's like, "What? It's still a police box. It's broken. How can that be?" And it's still a police box now.
Yeah.
And he keeps like that because he likes it.
Yeah.
He's gotten used to it. The heart of the TARDIS was mentioned all the way back in the first classic season, in the episode The Edge of Destruction, which was also a filler episode, similar
Right.
to this one. It was the third ever story. And the Heart of the TARDIS also appeared in a fifth Doctor episode called Terminus. But this time, in terms, like now, it has a lot more power.
Right.
So before the Heart of the TARDIS was more just like there,
Yeah.
whereas this time it actually had power and did something.
Yeah.
But like the Doctor said, he doesn't know how much power it has.
Yeah. It was almost like the Heart of the TARDIS was the executioner.
Yeah.
Or was the man with the axe.
Yeah. In this case, the Heart of the TARDIS
What do you
saved
call
her.
them?
Huh?
What do you call the people with the axe? And they have like the weird hood?
Oh, the Prisoner of Azkaban dude by the pumpkins.
Or the guy that cut...
I don't fucking know.
Spoilers! The guy that cut his head off.
Oh, Ellen Payne.
Ellen Payne, that's it.
He's an executioner.
Oh. You might have to bleep that bit.
Okay. There is a story called The Leisure Hive where another character was reduced to a baby. Leisure Hive's a piece of shit. I haven't seen it, but apparently it's a piece of shit.
Alright, well, you can't make that decision without seeing it.
Apparently it's a bunch of technobabble.
Alright,
And it has no comedy.
you should watch it. And then decide whether it's a piece
I don't
of
want to
shit.
watch The Leisure Hive. Okay, maybe. One day I'll watch The Leisure Hive, and if I love it, I will apologize.
Good.
In this episode... sorry, not in this episode. In the episode The Visitation, the Fifth Doctor had the same moral dilemma, but offered to take them to another planet and save them, as opposed to the war-torn Ninth Doctor who was considering executing the Slitheen. Very different moral values.
Yeah.
Pre-war versus post-war.
Well, it's not that his morals weren't right. His morals were right.
But they were different.
His morals were just, but he wasn't as conflicted.
To be fair, the Fifth Doctor is very compassionate.
Right.
He was the one that has like everyone leaving him, and
Yeah.
one of his companions dies.
Yeah.
He just wants to do the right thing, and
Yeah.
then nothing happens right to him.
Oh.
Makes him feel bad.
The man can't catch a break.
But he can catch a cricket ball. Remember he wore that cricket?
Oh, yeah.
He likes cricket, the Fifth Doctor.
Good on him.
A lot of scheduling changed due to the death of Billy Piper's uncle. So they have doubles for some of the scenes.
Really?
Yeah. Didn't notice.
Yeah.
The egg Margaret turns into is a prop from the End of the World. So it was literally something that was already there, but they reused it. Pretty convenient, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
End of the World was
The second episode.
Was it going to be one of the things that came out in the parade or something?
No.
Oh.
It was there. It was just there.
Oh, okay.
Because it was a bunch of alien shit.
Right.
Yeah.
Good. Save a bit of money.
Yeah.
Good on you.
The actor playing Mr. Cleaver, I think he was the guy who was... Was he the guy who was cleaning on the roof? Or...
Maybe he was the guy in the opening scene.
Oh, yeah, that guy. I think that was him, yeah.
Yeah.
Because he was old, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The guy cleaning the roof.
No, I thought...
About the balcony.
Yeah. No, it wasn't him.
It's just a random fucking cleaner.
Oh, g'day, mate. Mr. Cleaver.
No, it would have been the guy in the opening scene.
Yeah. Or the reception dude.
No, because it was an old guy.
Alright.
I say this because he is the first actor to appear in both classic and new Doctor Who.
Alright.
He later appears as another character in the spin-off series. The night shoot at the water tower had to be extended to 2 nights because it was below the temperature at which the fountain automatically shuts off. So for continuity.
Fucking Wales.
Fucking Welsh. We usually go on about Americans, but tonight it's the Welsh.
Yeah. Weird language. Nah, it's not that weird.
Mr. Sneed.
I quite like those languages that just don't, like, when you read them on a piece of paper, they just don't make sense.
Yeah, they almost look like English, but they're not.
Like the word droog.
Yeah.
DRWG.
What about Cumtaf? CWMTAFF.
What was the word on the train? I was like, for fucking.
Oh, for Ford. For Ford. 2 F's, 2 D's.
Yeah.
This episode ended up finally being the one that saved the budget after the season of mammoth CGI.
Oh, thank God.
Finally.
Yeah.
This also allowed the finale to have a big budget.
Good. Excited.
As a child, Margaret was threatened of being fed to venom grubs, which is a reference to the Web Planet. Web Planet's that episode with all the the wasp, the bee people, and like the ant people.
Yeah.
Venom grubs are from that. I think the venom grubs were the ones that like had the things over their faces.
Right.
Yeah. So she was threatened to be fed to those as a baby, which is brutal. The Doctor said he'd make a bad god. In Russell's 2003 show The Second Coming, Eccleston plays the son of God.
Wow.
This episode got the viewership of 7.7 million. Retains viewership due to the success of The Doctor Dances.
Yeah.
The Empty Child, The Doctor Dances, both. I think that's fair. Very popular story, so you'd expect them to watch the next week.
Yep. Maybe a letdown. Maybe the next episode might not have as many views. Who knows?
Well, yeah, if they didn't like this one, then they might not watch the next one.
We'll see.
We'll see. So give your conclusion and a rating out of 10 for Boomtown.
I will give it a...
No, give your conclusion
My
first.
conclusion, I will give it a conclusion. I will give it a conclusion. I thought it as a filler episode. From the get-go, I kind of had the feeling it was a filler episode.
Yeah.
And at that start, I was a bit let down. I was like, oh,
it's not Boomtown.
it's not fucking Mad City Boomtown. I thought it was gonna be like some like post-apocalyptic world type shit, but
alien terrain.
Yeah, I mean, but then it was pretty. It retained my attention in terms of like following the dialogue and following the story, and I really liked the psychological war that was going on between Margaret,
the chess game,
and just the slow like working your way into their mind to get what you want. And I always love that kind of thing in stories. So I did really enjoy it. Maybe not as much as some other episodes, because it wasn't, well, I wouldn't say it wasn't exciting, but it was just not.
It wasn't
There wasn't a
action-packed.
massive wow factor to it.
It wasn't action-packed.
But I really did like the ending. So because of that, it's still going to get an 8 out of 10 for me.
Okay.
Which is still pretty high, in all honesty.
For a filler episode, that's phenomenal.
Episode. The end, I think the end really, really made it for me. Like the whole wrap up with the TARDIS and her becoming an egg. The Rift fucking some shit up in the extra play to go and fucking whack, and Jack has just gone, ah! And then there were things like there was that sweet moment in the bistro with all four of them together. I thought that was really nice. And then it was a good way to start the tone of the episode, and then contrast that with the end of the episode, where it was kind of a nice end as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, 8 out of 10.
Cool. I'm glad that you liked this episode. I was worried because a lot of people don't. A lot of people find it very boring.
Yeah.
But that's because, like we said with Father's Day, this isn't an action-packed episode. It's a dialogue episode.
Yeah.
And what we get from this episode is a lot of character moments with the Doctor and the Slitheen. Like you said, the psychological warfare. That scene in the bistro is one that I love. I love the character moments in that. I also like the way that they dealt with Rose and Mickey in this. They're coming to a point where Mickey's getting sick of her and he needs to move on. Yeah. And it's really good for him. I like his character a lot. The way the actor portrays his sadness of how it's just not gone right for him and he's done nothing wrong. Yeah. I really like that a lot, and it's good to see that Rose is finally starting to see the truth, that her traveling isn't going to be good for everyone, and it's actually it's a choice that she's made that's damaged some people, such as her mother and Mickey. I thought Jack was really fun in this episode. I always love Jack.
Yeah.
He's just action man, gadget. I like how his character has changed since the Doctor dances, because they've gone on all those trips. They showed the change. He was out of the big coat and into just a blue shirt.
Yeah.
He was having more fun this time.
Yeah.
And I do like the end. I think the end is really satisfying. The fact that they showed the heart of the TARDIS, opening up some of that Time Lord lore that we barely ever get to see, because obviously, you know, that's all done and in the past now. But the Doctor's still got the TARDIS, which is whatever's left.
Yeah.
And it's cool to see that some of the magic of the Time Lords. So yeah, I really like this episode. I think it's very underrated. I think when people think of episodes that stand out in terms of like what they do, I feel like not a lot of people think of Boomtown, because it's not an action-packed episode.
Yeah.
And also, coming after The Empty Child, The Doctor Dances is very difficult to follow, as well as coming after like Father's Day and Dalek.
Yeah.
Very standout episodes in their own right. So I think it sort of struggles a bit. But had this episode been in a different season, like a weaker season, I feel like it would stand out some more.
For sure.
So same as you, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I think Boomtown's great.
Yep.
It's about as good as a filler episode gets, I think.
Yeah.
And it's all down to Russell T Davies being an absolutely fantastic writer.
For
and
sure.
being able to write this entire thing at the very last minute is very impressive, I think.
Yeah.
Cool.
I feel like our scores are sort of sitting at the same level.
They're leveling out a bit, yeah.
For most episodes.
I think it's just you getting more understanding of the show and getting used to it.
Yeah.
Right, so now Adam is going to do his summary and conclusion. He's going to give a rating out of 10, so here he is.
Hey everyone, Adam here. Unfortunately I wasn't able to come in for the recording of this episode, but I have been asked to shoot this little opinion piece. So without any further ado, here's my opinion of Boomtown. So I wanted to start this off by saying this episode does have a lot of really noticeable flaws, particularly in terms of the story leading up to where we're at in the episode. The fact that it's 6 months later, I believe, and Margaret is now mayor. The how did she rise through the ranks and that kind of thing. But this is something where I don't think that's so much of an issue. I personally can look past that, because this episode focuses on what it needs to focus on, I think, which is the characters. At this point in the series, we're in the final stretch, and I think this is a really good calm before the storm episode. We have a callback to an earlier episode with Margaret coming back, and then it's just really condensed and focused on 3 characters mainly, 4 sort of, but I'll get to that. One of those 4 characters is my other big negative with this episode. But those 4 characters are the Doctor, Margaret, Mickey, and Rose. With the Doctor and Margaret, this is sort of a really good villain-hero relationship, particularly in that brilliantly directed and acted and written and edited everything. That brilliant dinner scene. But the thing I really like about this episode is the fact that the Doctor almost sees himself in Margaret in this episode. It's not overt, other than the fact that the one line where she says, "Only a killer would know that," or whatever the line is. She starts to notice the parallels between he and him, and between her and him, and it's designed so that the audience can start seeing it as well. That the Doctor, he's living this happy-go-lucky life, but clearly he's done something awful during the Time War. He's committed some atrocities. And at this point, we start to see the Doctor's cool, collected, he's funny, he's quippy. And we've seen that other side to him in Dalek and in a couple other episodes before. A little bit in Father's Day as well. But here, it's the fact that they're both aliens who slowly start to become more human. She's someone who does mostly bad things and occasionally good things, and the Doctor does mostly good things but occasionally really, really bad things. And there's a kind of really interesting dynamic there. And I think the episode is fantastic when it just focuses on those 2 characters. The other part of the episode that I really, really like, sort of, I like half of it, is Mickey and Rose. All of the stuff with Mickey, I think, is brilliant. Noel Clarke brings it in this episode. It's the first time beyond him being a little bit of a hero in World War III, it's the first time Mickey really gets something to do. He puts his foot down and he says, and he calls Rose out on her bullshit, basically. But yes, Rose is my issue with this episode. Other than one line at the end when she says, he deserves better, I think Rose is really sort of selfishly written, and she's so self-absorbed and like, oh, aren't I just great? And the Doctor kind of enables that a little bit at the beginning of the episode, like she tries to say, Raxacoricophalapatorius, and he's like, well done, and they're all very cutesy together, but it's kind of, the whole thing of her neglecting Mickey, it puts a sour taste in my mouth in regards to Rose. In fact, I think, off the top of my head, this is probably my least favourite Rose sort of subplot in any story. I think this is my least favourite Rose. Like, it's not my least favourite episode with Rose in it, but an episode where there's a storyline focusing on Rose. This is my least favourite storyline of all those. But that doesn't tamper my enjoyment of the episode, because as I said, the Doctor and Margaret stuff is just fantastic. It's this brilliant sort of introspective lead-in to the final stretch. It's the calm before the storm, as I said, and it's about the characters. It's really condensed. It's simple and straightforward, but it's making you just question some things and wonder about what's next. Where are they going? The Doctor could easily sort of teeter off into that dark side again, and that kind of thing. And I think it's a brilliant lead-in to the final stories, and my overall grade is a 7. It's a good episode with some laughs. If you're able to overlook the story issues and that kind of thing, I think people would really enjoy it. I really enjoy it, as I said, because of the Doctor and Margaret stuff. I cannot stress enough how brilliant I think that stuff is. And yes, so my overall rating is 7 out of 10. Very enjoyable if you're able to look over the sort of lackluster story beats.
Alright.
Yep. So, Adam gave it a 7.
Ah.
But...
Wow! That's news to me.
But I have heard that we have different scalings.
Right.
He's a bit more careful with his higher rankings.
Right.
He likes to have more of a distinction at the top.
Yep.
That's why... But basically, he has the same opinions as us on Boomtown. He thinks it's very underrated and is effective with its dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
And like he said, the calm before the storm.
Yeah.
So, we got a YouTube comment. This is from Andy Franks. This is about the long game. You know when Suki goes up the elevator and like looks at the wrong side when it opens?
Yep.
He says, the worst is when you have the right door but the other opens and it's a paramedic with this half-dead dude. I was 11 years old, never really liked elevators after that, but I found out he was okay, so that's good.
I'm sorry to hear that, Andy. That's a fucking rough story, mate.
That sounds like shit.
Yeah, well...
Hopefully you don't have nightmares anymore. Scarred for life.
Yeah. Thanks for the comment, though, and for watching our videos.
Yes, thank you. Send in your comments, ask us questions. I won't answer spoiler questions, but I'll answer whatever I can. I think we've already answered the next question, but I'll ask it anyway. Does this episode do its job well as a filler?
Yep.
Yes. Right. We are getting close to the end of Series 1. What would you like to see?
Bad Wolf.
Bad Wolf?
Yeah.
Well, guess what, mate?
What?
The next episode is called Bad Wolf.
Thank fucking God.
See you then.